Excellent. Welcome to TADSummit Innovators. We've got two new guests. We're really excited to introduce Jeremy and Aaron. We'll start with Jeremy. Please introduce yourself, your company, and the services you provide. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. I'm Jeremy Turner. I work for Cogility, and I produce a product called Tacit Red. It's a threat intelligence product. We look at things like traditional attack surface monitoring. We also look at things like botnet logs. We also do net flow analysis on threat actor infrastructure and some other really technical stuff in order to find really approach the problem from a different perspective.
Mhm.
We really look at risk for companies from the perspective of the threat actors, kind of mirroring their technologies, processes, and their tactics.
Gotcha.
So we look at things from an opportunity perspective of who's the easiest out there to hack.
Yeah.
Um, and I've been in the industry for a while. I've done computer network defense in the defense industry.
Right.
Done consulting in the private industry, and now I'm producing this product here.
Gotcha. Understood. So who are the easiest companies to attack?
All the big ones. Have the
It
most
really is
effective.
that easy.
It really is. I mean, they have so many third parties that are horribly secured. They have large attack surface. They have so many users. It's just to get access to those larger organizations, it really doesn't take much. A few dollars on the underground marketplaces will get you all the way there.
Gotcha. So it's just dark web, you'll get some credentials and then that gets you in. And
Yep.
then from
So
there you can register your devices or
if you want to pay extra, you can even get things like session tokens or session cookies. So you can
oh,
pass things like MFA.
yeah,
So a lot of the organizations that dismiss this stuff out of hand, saying, "Oh, we have MFA." I mean, that's really not the end all be all to security.
at
And
all.
there's a nice marketplace around those credentialed accesses specifically,
Oh,
or even just getting
wow.
getting the actual malware infections and buying
Okay.
that exist within the networks. It's pretty cheap.
What sort of prices are you looking at there?
For credentials, I
Yeah.
mean, you're talking maybe like up to $5 for specific credentials. If you're
Okay.
looking for a specific bot, maybe $20.
Wow.
The other ones that have been kind of pre-vetted and maybe sorted through a little bit more, you might pay a lot more than that, depending on
Gotcha.
what the specific access is. Um,
Gotcha.
but it doesn't really take much of an investment.
Understood. Understood. So we'll come to Aaron in a little bit because I just want to focus on what you're seeing in the space at the moment because our focus is telecom. And we've been told by the lawmakers that not to use the PSTN, to use other products. So, what's your view on? I mean, I guess it's the same as any other large organization. Everything's open. So, just interested on what you're seeing, given your position in the market.
Yeah, I mean, I think the larger mobile network or network operators, not even just
Yeah,
mobile network operators,
yeah,
larger network operators, have had pretty hard time overcoming the tech debt and their
yeah.
security models. There's a lot of legacy stuff that's still out there.
Yes, yeah,
That stuff, really is just kind of exposed to the internet. I mean, you just have like telnet to routers and all kinds of things that you can
yeah,
use to collect lots of really, real time data, which is very valuable. I
yeah.
think that we're hearing more about it now because of the scale, the scope, and also the threat actors have gotten beyond just maintaining access and going low and slow,
Yeah.
and they've really taken a more emboldened approach towards how they exploit data.
Okay.
Um, I think in some ways those compromises you can look at us like a school of fish. If we're all a huge school of small fish swimming around, it's unlikely to affect us.
Hmm.
But if you're those bigger fish, I mean, that's a significant concern for you, and
Gotcha.
really you should consider it. But
Interesting.
yeah,
So is it, everybody points to China. Is it China as a threat actor, or is it just everybody on the internet that basically has a grudge or is just looking to get to, cash out of some knowledge they've got from the dark web?
I would say every nation state that has an offensive security program has probably some level of access. And then there's criminal elements that also have varying degrees of access. I mean, we've seen mobile network operator breaches
Yeah.
about every year for the last 10
Yeah.
years.
Yep.
And so, I mean, that information is certainly out there.
Hmm.
There's I think a lot of misdirection in the media, specifically around CLIA and like the law enforcement access to these
Yeah.
networks.
Yeah.
I think in one way the requirements for metadata retention can enable some of those things, but I don't really see that program as being the method or the specific
Oh.
way that those criminals gained access.
Gotcha. So what
And
are
I
the
think,
methods you see as being more preferred these days?
I mean, the easiest stuff is to go to the info stealer markets. The other ones are, just looking at regular old network vulnerabilities. I mean, you
Okay.
have a network operator, you have probably the most network vulnerabilities of anybody in the space.
Yeah.
And even without credentialed access, there's all kinds of things. What would it take for an insider, in one of these, outsourced companies, life-changing money for some of the folks working for
Yes.
third-party providers is not the same for us as it is for them.
Yeah.
So if you're an adversary that has financial motivation or financial resources, uh, you know, that would be one of the easiest ways to maintain persistent access would be to
Gotcha.
get an insider.
Understood. So it's like an outsourcing company that's doing, billing or something for one of the large carriers. You just go
Or
in.
messaging or voice. I mean, it's the same
Yep.
thing. There's 1,000 points of failure here. I mean,
Yep.
they just put a bill together to spend $3 billion on ripping out any Huawei equipment, which they should have ripped out already. So I think what we're hearing here is exactly what we suspected: is it's everywhere. It's
Yeah.
infested. The mobile ecosystem has let down. Either they let down the mobile operators, or mobile operators just didn't care. They're just interested in. They're publicly traded companies. They're interested in how many subscribers they have and how much money they can spend on 5G, Alan. So I
Hmm.
think what we're hearing is exactly what we suspected. There is no single place. There's no single point of failure. It's all over the place. And I think that's why the senator came out basically saying, my hair's on fire. And they don't know when to stop it. And
Yeah.
stop sending text messages? Are you insane? And start using encrypted apps. Okay, which ones? I don't know. The guy that just gave you $1 million this morning for my for whatever inauguration. So
Right.
I think let's continue on. But I mean that's exactly what we suspected and what we know in the mobile ecosystem, especially with a lot of all the foreign companies that are running our infrastructure.
Yeah. Correct.
It is really an issue. So we have a big problem, and it's not going to go away.
So how can we address this, Jeremy?
Yeah, I mean, the best short-term way to address it is to follow the guidance that was given using
Okay.
encrypted messaging apps. That is really if you want to maintain privacy, that's really your best way. And even
Okay.
that isn't that doesn't cover all kinds of the risks that are out there, but at least
Yeah.
it's something you can do. Uh,
Understood. But for
there's
for a telco though, what can they do? I mean, they can't just put their hands in the air and go, "Okay, we don't care." Is it,
They,
you
they can hope more drones come, and that the story shifts to drones in New Jersey,
uh,
and then the media attention gets away with them. But with open Senate hearings coming, I think that's not going to happen. I think it's the old saying. Right now, we have 100. We shot down one balloon. Every phone in America has a balloon in it,
yeah,
right? And every consumer is at risk. And the amount of billions of dollars that are being stolen from the actual everyday person is really at the crux of this. I think, this hack has brought attention, Alan, because
yeah,
of you're talking 150 senior people, including people that are about to take office,
yeah,
that had their phones picked off and
yeah,
their messages picked off and their and their what they're talking about. So think
yeah.
about the blackmail opportunities
Oh yeah,
that are here. And that's why their hair's on fire. So
yeah.
I think
I
that's a
mean, yeah,
longer thing. But I think what he's basically saying is the guidance they gave is drastic because it's drastic, and I think
mhm.
they realize it's drastic. And we'll see what happens with the new administration coming in.
Yep.
If they take a more aggressive approach, maybe the new FCC chair. But I mean, they hopefully they listen to this, so hopefully they hear us loud and clear.
But back to you, Jeremy, because I just want to wrap up on your piece. So, from your perspective, what are the steps, and how does your solution help them?
Yeah, so I mean, in addition to the guidance, I mean, I think there's just a general lack of awareness.
Yeah.
I think a lot of average consumers and even some of the VIPs that are being targeted,
Yeah.
take for granted that they expect that some kind of security is being provided. There's some
Yes.
kind of standard
Yeah.
that it is there. But from the ground up, there's really a general lack of standards
Yes.
to even talk about enforcement or regulatory
Yeah.
aspects. Yeah, I mean, companies have made investments in areas that make them money, and cybersecurity in general is a cost center.
Exactly.
Even when we're talking about things like combating fraud and SMS route manipulation and those kind of things, they make money on that. So if they want to go solve that problem, they're actually going to be reducing revenue in order to solve a problem that doesn't benefit the company itself, but benefits the consumers.
Yeah.
There's a lot of imbalance between the business objectives and the things that they can do that'll actually improve security are pretty much at odds with that.
Yeah. So, and I think that point you made in terms of what benefits the company versus what benefits the consumer is the critical dilemma. Yeah, because, hey, we can make money off this. Yes, okay, there's exposing a risk for our customers, but hey, it's a percentage, it's a chance. This is earning us tens of millions for this year, maybe, even more next. So cool. That helps understand just how open the US networks really are because of all their third parties.
Grand Canyon.
I just remembered that I shared with Jeremy one example, fresh example of phishing fraud request. So I log in after many years into Skype.
Yeah.
I identified fraudster. It's very simple. And that request, it was for the United States, for Bank of America. I
Okay.
sent it to Jeremy,
Yeah.
and Jeremy sent to his contacts to security services. So the thing is that even no one, not from this industry, can log into Skype, and I'm confused why Skype it's a tool software application number one for communication
Yeah.
between cyber criminals.
Ah.
They don't do nothing,
Yeah.
so they support them. You can easily find SMS spam, SMS marketing, SMS for free in
Yeah.
Skype groups.
Yeah.
You will receive targets, you can negotiate, you will find vendors, suppliers for the United States.
Yeah.
You can even get immediate free access from some Chinese companies. I will not share again names,
Yeah.
but another second example. Before our meeting, I asked someone from China for a trial account. They registered it for free for temporary email that disappear immediately,
Yeah.
but we got access with Jeremy, and we are able to test any MCC, MNC, any networks inside the United States with this spam, with phishing.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't pay nothing, but you send phishing to
Yeah.
real numbers.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So the question is, do they really protect? Do they monitor? Which software do they use? How
Yeah.
it's possible?
But how does the Chinese company make money? As you're scaling up
Because
your fraud, you then
yes,
start to pay at higher rates.
yes, this is a good question, and I remember we discussed this with Jeremy on one of our conversations. So, as I received feedback from one of wholesale, I remember Johnny mentioned you call them firewalls companies. One of wholesaler, very small wholesaler carrier from Hong Kong.
Yeah.
They explained me, Bohdan, around 20 years we work with the same people worldwide. We receive funding from the same agencies,
Gotcha.
marketing agencies worldwide, and their main focus it's penetration testing, but it's not about cybersecurity. What do they penetrate? They send phishing,
Yeah. Gotcha.
rob banks like Bank of America,
Yeah. Yeah. Gotcha.
even a message without link, but just with notifications that you have suspicious activity into your bank account. You
Yeah.
need to call us back.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, people they're afraid
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
and they call.
Gotcha.
You
Understood.
And second my idea about the future of secured messaging, I saw that Twitter,
Hmm.
X, they are preparing their messenger. It will be absolutely new, secured, and those Musk satellites, Starlinks, they will start with messaging and voice, I believe, in the next year. So we
Oh,
will
okay.
see all
Yeah,
this in the beginning of the 2025.
gotcha. Cool.
Yeah, there's that gentleman's name is Shane Mack. He got 25 million invested from Andreessen Horowitz, and he's building a blockchain um, identity type solution that Noah has. He's building it more on the back end. And there's also a company called Cape that has been funded by Andreessen Horowitz for 61 million. That'll be a complete soup to nuts from security. So we're definitely going to see a change. We're talking years out.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think we should jump on to our next guest because
exactly.
I mean we have 15 podcasts here. We need to. There's so much stuff here to cover.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
but I
But
think
Jeremy,
the key word is Alan bringing awareness.
exactly.
Bringing awareness how much of a joke this is
Yeah,
because it's a
exactly.
joke.
Yep. And
It's not
Jeremy,
funny, but it's a joke that it's not funny.
You did a great job there. Okay, so we're going to pause there. We'll move on to Aaron. Thank you so much, Bohdan, for that piece. So moving on, please introduce what you're doing. And you see, we're free form. So anything that you think we need to know about on the lack of security that we have out there.
Yeah, I'm Aaron Birnbaum. What do I do? I do security. I do a lot of different things with security.
Yeah.
I get frustrated by security, I could say.
Yeah.
One of the things I wanted to touch on that Bohdan mentioned was the reason that Skype doesn't moderate their platform is the same reason Facebook doesn't moderate their platform, or Backpages.com didn't moderate their platform. There's a U.S. rule, Communication Decency Act. It's called Section 230. And basically what it says is, if you take an active involvement in policing what's on your platform, you then become liable for all the content on that platform. It's a core internet technology rule that without that, we wouldn't have the internet today.
Yeah.
We just wouldn't happen because no one could get big. You couldn't get big enough because every time you get big, you got to bring in more people, you got to train them, you got personnel, you got more costs. And a lot of services are, they're ad driven. So that's the reason why Skype doesn't do anything, and nobody does, because it opens up a huge liability can of worms, and nobody really wants to go down that road. Travis is a platform very similar to Jeremy. I'm thinking we might have to have a boxing match later, duke it out, see who's better. No, I like what you're doing, and it seems like we're going along the same kind of lines. We position ourselves in attack surface management. So when building the tool, we looked at it as, all right, I'm a criminal hacker. I got to throw this in. Hackers are good guys. Criminals are bad guys.
Yes.
Hackers help when the criminals hit you. So a criminal hacker, or criminal, because they're just criminals.
Yep.
The way they think and what they do, their methods aren't usually that novel or unique. They've been done before. There's a little flavor, a different spin, yellow hat instead of a blue hat, whatever it may be. But basically, it's the same techniques. And so we thought, all right, if we're going to defend our, client, how is that criminal going to attack us? What is he going to look for? And it's not just, we don't just do a port scan and, oh, okay, we have a port open. We do a lot of different things, but I find the same thing that, Jeremy finds. We find Stripe credentials, Stripe secret keys. We find stuff from companies all the time. And, part of OSINT, or open source intelligence gathering, you could just type someone's email address into a search. Yep. And then you can find their email address not only in a million repositories and paste bins and websites, but you can find where they use it, and often their password with it, on sites that they should not be using their work mail for. Let's just leave that one right there.
Understood.
We've gone in to do demonstrations for clients, and We scan their system, and we have a provider that gives us great dark web intel. And we find it doesn't matter who you are. I don't care. And for people to say that their systems are bulletproof or they're 100% secure or safe is absolute garbage.
Yeah.
We found things on, and I'm sure Jeremy's nodding and going, "Yep, that's just another day in my life." We found the most unbelievable. We found people who use their work email for their Ashley Madison account, which I think was not probably well thought out. But hey, you do you, I do me. I'm happily married. So the frustrations come with we see things and we know they're bad and we know they're wrong.
Yeah.
And so we've identified this problem and we have weak systems. And Jeremy's analysis of security as a cost center as opposed to a profit center is dead on. I hear it all the time. Yeah. The best analogy I can say is, and I've literally said this to smaller businesses, do you have liability insurance? Like, of course I do. What do you think? I'm stupid? I'm like, no, not yet. I say, do you have cyber insurance? And they're like, no, why? I go, okay, now I think you're stupid. No, I'm kidding. But it is, we're selling an insurance product.
Gotcha.
Our goal is, and it's crazy because we're selling a product that we don't ever want to hear from you. We don't want you to know we're here. We just want to keep getting paid. And that is hard for a lot of industries to stomach. They're like, if I have a firewall or if I have a piece of software or hardware, I can see it, I can touch it, I can go and run a scan. That's great. But you don't ever want to have to do that. You don't want to say, oh, we've got an alert. Great, our system works. Well, you just got an alert.
Yeah.
And maybe it's false positive, blah, blah, blah. But still, you don't want to be, it's like when you go see the doctor and you go, hey, I hope I never see you again. Because you don't want to see him.
Yeah.
So, but I think that businesses need to look at, and the way that a lot of organizations are selling is fear, uncertainty, doubt.
Yeah.
But they need to stop looking at it as a cost center and they need to look at it as a cost of doing business. And I know those two are very, very similar, but what's the phrase? You have an unlimited budget after you get attacked?
Yeah.
But never before.
Every time.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. 3, 4, 5 times what it could be. And I think IBM's stat was 4.1 million is the average cost of a breach now.
Yeah.
Across.
Yeah.
So if you're paying, you do your cost analysis. Are my assets worth $4.1 million or more or less? All right. You don't have to spend $4.1 million. There's a number of groups, I work with nonprofits, I work with some religious groups, and I use open source technology.
Yeah.
There are costs for the hardware, but you could put in a PFSense or WWRT or something like that it doesn't cost the organization subscription fees. And while I'm on my pedestal, if you're using an open source technology in your for-profit business, pay those people, give them something. Because if not, we're going to go for log4j, log4shell all over again. It's going to happen. There's no question in my mind. These companies are worth billions of dollars. Their CEOs are flying to work every day, and they won't send $500 to an open source developer, it's going to make their year.
Yes.
It is borderline abusive to me. And I have stuff on GitHub, and I have my Apache 2 license or MIT license or whatever it is. People can use it. And I know that going in. If they were to give me money, I'd be like, wow, cool. But that's not, I'm not the typical open source developer at all.
Yeah.
I appreciate what they do. And the other thing is, just because I'm on my soapbox, you can't take 5 open source tools, wrap them in a wrapper, and go out and sell it. I mean, you can, obviously, because we see it all the time.
Exactly.
But is it morally or ethically right? I guess it's not a discussion for today. But I see that all the time. We have a proprietary wrapper around Nessus. Oh, wow, cool. That's a really cool technology you have there. Mm-hmm. It bothers me because there are some great people doing very, very cool things. And I was looking at Jeremy's site while he was chatting, and I really like what he's doing. I think he has a great product, and the way he's going about doing it is similar, to what we're doing. So we'll either be best friends or enemies, one of the two, Jeremy. We'll be frenemies.
I think there's enough. I think there's enough business for everybody.
There
And
really is.
I
Oh,
think
well, yeah.
what we've just seen happen is unprecedented. So Alan and I, we cover. There's Alex Khaleesi from UMail. He posts every hack. Every company's been hacked every month. The public has become numb to hacks. Oh, you got 1 million records here. Oh, we got 1 billion records here. Oh, 10 billion records here. Oh, Cinever's been hacked for 9 years and nobody knows. So I think the public has become immune to being hacked and they just think their information's out there. But I think what just happened, I believe, is going to change the game. And I believe the old saying about software eating the world, I believe we're coming to an age where cybersecurity is going to eat the world. When you have big companies raising big money, talking about creating mobile operators from scratch and mobile networks from scratch and infrastructure from scratch in order to give it to the people that care. So you have a percentage of the population that doesn't care. They pay their phone bill, they pay their bills, and they expect to be secure. It's not the case. Banks are getting robbed left and right. And I think with the advent of crypto and digital money and how everything's moving, there's and when quantum comes, forget it, it's over. I think all of these moving parts. So I think you guys are sitting sadly on the cusp of an explosion. And that explosion is people are starting to care now.
Yeah,
When they
absolutely.
come out and they make a statement basically saying, you're not safe. We don't know when you're going to be safe. You're screwed. And then you're talking about, there's an article in the Washington Post.
Yeah, I'll just cut you off there because I want to get for time's sake.
Go ahead. But go read the article on Washington Post where people are getting robbed and they're taxing them for the money they got robbed on.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But Bohdan, back to, because I just want to finish on the point you raised at the last podcast. And what are some of the simple steps we can take as individuals to protect ourselves?
Yeah. So I just want to share several resources that people can use instead of the most popular email vendors, suppliers, but more secured. And I believe that Jeremy and Aaron can share their comments, thoughts about them. So first of all, of course, it's Proton Mail. It's secured, it's limited for free, but have some types of subscriptions and main focus privacy and security.
Yeah.
The second one, it's a mail fence that use OpenPGP, but what is the real difference between Proton and this mail fence? This is a question. And the last one that I like most of all, because you know that I lived in Italy last year, so the name is Tutanota. I already registered my account on Tutanota, and interesting about this service for secured emails, Tutanota, is that one very simple example: to send and receive email, every time you need to input password. So this is cool. And this is something new for users, but is it a real protection? Will it help? Will hackers get the same password? And what about this end-to-end encryption in all those services, Proton Mail, MailFence, and Tutanota? So we can ask Jeremy and Aaron about them. If we compare with the same Gmail, the most popular, I guess, or Yahoo, I don't know. You can offer any others.
Yeah, Jeremy, Travis, Aaron, any comments on such a simple thing as changing your email client?
Yeah, I mean, the fully encrypted email providers would definitely be an improvement. There's definitely a privacy enhancement there. I think the one thing that I would add that's kind of relevant to the recent news from the network operator compromises is consider using a VPN on your mobile device.
Yeah.
And, I'll recommend one that's free that I trust, which is Cloudflare's Warp.
Gotcha.
So it's 1.1.1.1 is the address, or if you want to look it up in the App Store. but they make it for iOS, Mac, PC, Android. I mean, everything, Linux.
Yeah.
And it's a free VPN service, and it definitely provides another level of security and privacy to users.
Yeah, I was really sad when Google stopped providing their free cloud VPN service. Yeah, on the I can't remember because I subscribed to one of their services. I got it for free, but then they dropped it because not enough people were using it. I guess Cloudflare is beating them to it. But yeah, I'll make sure on the blog I put together on this that we include all the links to those services. So thanks for that, Jeremy. Aaron?
I work with a lot of paranoid people, so they're against anything other than hosted. Like we have a hosted internal chat that we use.
Gotcha.
Bohdan, I'm surprised you didn't mention Telegram or Signal because those are huge, huge opportunity places now. And I know people that won't talk to me unless they're on Signal. And then I know people that are like, oh no, I can get logs out of Signal. I can hack into Signal. So, but to speak to the point of not enough people care is absolutely right. I don't care if you know I'm picking up my daughter, or I don't care if you know I emailed my friend to meet me at the bar. I just don't care. And they're not understanding that if you're not paying for the product, you are the product.
Yes.
And that's why you have multi-billion-dollar companies. I mean, Google doesn't really charge much. Facebook doesn't really charge much. A lot of these organizations, they're ad revenue or they're selling, remarketing and reselling your information.
Exactly. Because the thing that triggered me is because this exposure can be used in real time. So I could be doing something and then I get a notification that I assume is from the company I'm doing something with. Oh, Alan, we notice, where you just changed your passcode, or you just entered in, and we've sent you the passcode, XYD, confirming their identity. Could you confirm this? And of course, I assume it's all part of the same transaction. And then, they've got access to the gold mine. So that for me is the worry, because it's now moving real time and can be exposed through the dark web.
Now throw in geo-targeting into that.
Oh.
So I know exactly where you are. And from a marketing standpoint, I'm walking by CVS and I get a text, hey, did you forget to pick up your prescription? Perfectly legitimate, good marketing method. Or it's been used. It's probably still being used. But hey, I saw you just came out of the adult entertainment club. Does your wife know you're there? And that's the kind of thing that
Gotcha.
we have all these tools, and like a hammer, you take a hammer and build a beautiful home and protect yourself. You can also take a hammer and smack somebody in the back of the head and kill them.
Yes.
So we have to be conscious that a lot of these tools are double-edged. And I'm sure Jeremy's heard this. I'm sure Bohdan's heard this. Is this a blue team solution or a red team solution? Is this an attacker or a defender? Gotcha. Every tool is both. Yeah. Not every tool. Almost every tool is both. Gotcha. It can be used for good or evil.
Aaron, I liked your example about adults content, and
I bet you did.
I had in my history one scammer from, let's say, I will not tell which country, but his target, it was Japan. Mm-hmm. And he sent all these adult messages only to the Japan. Okay. So he paid attention on these adult scenes and asked them for money. If you don't want me to share with your family, with your friends, with your colleagues, that you are fond of some porn sites or clubs for adults, so pay, and I will remove all that.
Gotcha.
There's an email going around. They have it like sextortion. I think they call the term, or they say, we know you. And then a friend of mine calls me up and he goes, hey, Aaron, listen, you got to help me out here. I just got this message. And I'm like, relax. He goes, well, here's the thing. I have a 24-year-old brand new assistant who's a woman, and I don't really want her reading those emails. I'm like, sorry, man. I don't know what I can tell you. Don't worry about it. And he was like, look, I watch porn with my wife, and hey, why not? I don't care. But I don't want, he was less care with his friends and family knowing he watches adult material than the embarrassment of having a 24-year-old new woman come working for him.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm here on the first day, and what is the first email I read for this guy? Wow, what the heck have I gotten myself into? And
Interesting,
then
yeah.
is that an HR issue? And there's definitely a lot of problems with that. But
Interesting.
But the personal extortion is really where the fear
yeah.
is, and I think that's where it's lighting up, Alan.
Yeah.
It's instead of getting ransomware on companies, you're going to start getting an onslaught of ransomware on individuals, and I think that's why Washington D.C. is losing their minds, because
Gotcha.
they see it, and then you tie in AI, and just you don't want what messages you sent, whatever, or what you inquired on. So it literally becomes, the whole biggest fear of people on Google is, oh, what does Google know? Well, now everybody knows,
Yeah,
and now
absolutely.
everybody's using it to silence people, and it's terrifying.
Yeah. So just to wrap up, because we are well over time, I mentioned earlier that 2023, 2022, we saw a lot of DDoS. Is that sort of backed off these days, or is it still there rampant because all the sources of cybersecurity, or cyber attacks are just being hammered on? So it's just one of a number of attacks. Just interested in what's your view on how the market's evolving?
I think that it's less of an issue now because we have such a robust infrastructure now.
Okay, gotcha.
I mean, you used to be able to, launch a 1 petabyte attack. You take down anybody. Now that's a hiccup.
Okay, understood. So it's just the improvement in the infrastructure has enabled that to not be an issue anymore. Okay, so now it's far more targeted on using credentials and just getting in and getting access to information.
Or ransom.
Yeah, understood. So Jeremy, Bohdan, anything else?
No, I mean, on the DDoS stuff, I have very similar sentiments. It's
Cool. That's great.
Yeah.
And again,
Told you, best friends are enemies, Jeremy.
Excellent. Again, guys, thank you so much for your time. This was very insightful. Just to say, Jeremy shared a few screens with us before we started, showing just how open the information is for the network operators here in the US. So, I mean, we don't show it live because, obvious reasons. But again, it's
confidential.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt you, Alan.
Unless
but
you're a criminal, then it's not confidential.
I have one question. Let's say I am outside of any cybersecurity companies, right? I am ethical hacker, not talking about myself, but someone introduced as an ethical hacker. And I am interested to buy this confidential data from data broker. This is question to Jeremy or Aaron. How easy to buy those credentials? And this is very important question that I want to highlight because I believe it's so easy and super fast that I cannot even compare like with buying something online shopping. So, Jeremy, please, or Aaron, you can
for
help.
most of the commercial providers that aggregate that type of data, they typically have a pretty robust KYC process that they're going to use to validate that you're a legitimate business and establish the use case. But for criminals, it's really easier for them just to go onto the underground marketplaces and download it, or the Telegram channels that post free stuff all the time. There's easier ways to get it than going through the KYC process of a lot of those commercial providers. That said, there have been mistakes in the past. There's also been some security issues, like people leaving Elasticsearch instances open to the internet, or S3 buckets where it's just all sitting there.
Yeah.
So you take the good with the bad. I think as a whole, the commercial brokers for the threat intelligence data have done far more good than bad. And getting that information, especially for financial services organizations and others, in the hands of the right people to help mitigate some of the impact.
Cool.
All right, I'm going to start the enemy train here. I agree with you. I think it's very, very easy to buy. You can, of course, legally buy, but again, you've got, KYC and you've got credit, and there's a number of things going, finding a dark web provider, even a regular internet provider that will sell them to is not a challenge. The issue is we as an organization had an opportunity to work with a company that was buying dark web credentials from criminals. They had a relationship, and then they were reselling that as CTI, as critical threat intelligence. We made the decision as a company, we can't use your product because all you're doing is enabling this industry to continue to thrive. And it stunk because they had really good stuff and it was really inexpensive. But at the end of the day, you know, we talk about companies are greedy and they all they want to do is make money and not spend money. We got to put our money where our mouth is sometimes.
Yes.
So
it's funny because I think I know exactly who you're talking about.
I'm sure you do.
But yeah, we also don't buy from.
Yeah.
We don't buy. We either collect first party or we buy from people that are doing similar types of either human or scraping operations where they're not paying the criminals for the access.
Yeah, it's just
More often there was one where they would, you know, give us a list of companies you're interested in seeing, and then they would go put those in the search terms of the criminals like marketplaces.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, come on, guys, you know.
Yeah, understood. Cool. No, this has been very insightful, guys. Again, thank you so much for your time, and I'm sure we'll be doing another one of these very soon. Again, thank you.
Great.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for having me.
you.